So, hello and welcome to this, another video from the Two Wise Birds. I'm Sue Boynton, independent dento-legal consultant.
And I'm Jane Lean, a dental business coach and trainer.
And we've been doing these videos for a while now, and the intention is to share positive information within the profession. So this is a video that's suitable for all the dental team. What we're going to chat about this afternoon is using the video capability that we've got now, that we've all built during the COVID lockdown, using it in the practice and using it outside the practice as well for our own benefit. And before we started, Jane, we were talking about some interesting things that we've been sharing on social media as well. Tell me about your Samphire.
Well, I absolutely adore Samphire. I live in a part of the world that you can't get further from the coast. And a friend of mine lent me her house in Devon, and literally a minute away, there's a Samphire bed. So I collected some and had it for my tea, but I just posted a picture of the Samphire I collected. And I'm amazed and touched, I suppose, at how many people looked at it and liked it, because it's just curious what people like and engage with on social media.
I think that's absolutely right. And I've seen that with dental practices as well. So they're not just putting things up about dental treatment and that sort of thing. They're putting personal things like that up, which engage their patient base in a different way. And I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely. And I think what's really important, whether it's a job application or it's a website, what I think is really important, and I think we do it pretty well here, Sue, is that we show our credibility. So we're both dentists. You're a dental legal advisor. You've got the scars. You've done the job, in the same way that for me, I'm a dentist, still got damp fingers, and I've got the qualifications. So credibility wise, if somebody wants our qualifications and experience, we can get it. But we've also got to show our human side, our humanity. And I think that's often undervalued in the profession, because our patients are really interested in us as people. Do they like us? Do they trust us? Will we hurt them? And so that sharing ourselves, some people might say it's a bit vulnerable, but it's about, who am I? What makes me different? Yeah, and I love getting my feet dirty in the sand and collecting Samphire. But,
yeah, I'd like more pictures of the Samphire, and perhaps not as many. No, I won't say it.
Well, can I have some pictures of you and your paddleboard then?
Yeah, absolutely. And the mountain bike that I haven't even fallen off yet. But saying that, I'll probably do that this week, won't I? So yeah, so what I've seen practices using their video technology to engage with patients when they're not able to see them in person. And that's a great way of building relationships and of reassuring patients. You know what it's like when a patient wants to come in and you're saying, actually, we'd love to fit you in now, but it's going to be another 6 or 8 weeks before we can get you in. But in the meantime, would you like to have a video chat with the dentist, with the patient care coordinator? That's very reassuring for patients. So I like to see that sort of thing going on.
Absolutely. And I saw something on, I can't remember which news channel it was, and it was a fairly distressing story about a gentleman who had taken his own tooth out with a pair of pliers, and thankfully he didn't get any infection afterwards. Thankfully his toothache did go, but we all know as dentists the risks associated with taking a teeth out with dirty instruments. Now it would appear, and we don't have the full side of the story, but it would appear that at no point when he contacted the dentist, and he said that he did anybody offer him a conversation.
Yeah, but you've hit the nail on the head there as well, because of course we only ever have one side of the story, and because dentists are bound by confidentiality, they probably couldn't comment on that. I have seen practices doing this really well, and I've seen other practices have yet to take the leap and take that opportunity. And it is that offering a conversation sometimes that's reassuring. You know it yourself when you ring up the general medical practitioner. you'll often get offered a chat with somebody if there is an
Absolutely.
appointment to do.
And I think that also we're now seeing a lot of evidence that patients are moving. They're considering moving practices. And I've got a number of my clients that have had more new patients register with them over the last few weeks since COVID, because they have been dissatisfied with the service they had with their existing practice. So I think that people that are doing as little as possible need to be mindful, because patients won't necessarily be loyal just because you're an NHS practice, or they won't necessarily be loyal just because you're around the corner. And they are seeking out the human side of us, the people that have a relationship, and using the internet, using a video consultation, they are the ones that are picking up those patients that are moving around.
Do you know, it's interesting that you say that, because a lot of the things you read now about customer experience and that sort of thing, it is about precisely that. People are seeking out the experience that they want. It's not simply about the care and treatment, it's about their overall experience at the practice. So I think you're spot on there. So I think there's going to be some changes going forwards. So
yeah, I think that this is, I mean, some people, it's two sides of the same coin, isn't it? Yeah. I think some people could think about this and think, oh, goodness me, this is terrible. And oh, I'm going to lose patients and woe is me. But actually, it's potentially very exciting. It's an opportunity that we can build this. We can use our whole team, nurses, receptions, associates, hygienists, using video consultation. And look at us. I mean, I think that we've got a phenomenal relationship now, but we really only connected the Monday before lockdown started. And so this whole Two Wise Birds is purely come out of lockdown and the technology which is available to us. And thank you, it's just been incredible.
Wow. Yeah, and I'd say exactly the same thing back to you. And doesn't that show that you can't simply say, oh, well, it's lockdown now, we'll wait until everything's back to normal, which we could well have done. Or you can say, let's see what we can do via video, and let's learn things as we go along the way, which is absolutely helpful. Somebody was asking me the other day about CPD, because I deliver quite a lot of CPD now via Zoom and other platforms, and I think you do the same. It doesn't replace face-to-face CPD, but how do you think people can use that in the best possible way when we're having to deliver virtually at the moment? What tips would you give people?
I think the most important thing is that learning is an active experience. It's not passive. And so we need to be actively engaged in the learning process. And I think it's also really important to recognize that multitasking is a fallacy. Multitasking is about doing lots of things badly, and we can do something well, but means that we do need to be focused. And so taking that into CPD, where we are at the moment, I think there is no doubt that face-to-face interactive learning is by far and away the best way to learn. And I mean really interactive. It's that chatting with people at the coffee break. If you've got a residential course, that often the most learning doesn't happen in the lecture theatre. And so working with a presenter that is giving lots of questions and inviting feedback, and it becomes like a dance, the training, that's training that works really, really well. And because we've all been at those lectures where we've just sat and listened to somebody drone on, you walk out at the end of however many hours, and how much have you remembered? Nothing. How does that influence or affect the way you practice? But it can't. What a waste of time and waste of money. So that interactivity is key. And I think this is well, I know that this is evidence-based learning. And when we translate that into how we're working now, I think that the sensible people are going to choose webinars where there's a video. webinars where there's Q&A, webinars where they can see the whites of the eyes of the presenter and the other delegates.
Yeah.
And make it as close to a real life networking learning experience as they can.
And I'm glad you've said that, because I really like it when I'm either attending a webinar or presenting a webinar and you can see the other people who are there. There are people you haven't met before. There are people you haven't seen for years. Oh, wow, I didn't know you were going to be coming on this. It's almost like being in the room, sending messages to people. Can we connect later on and have a further chat? You know, it really does give that human touch to it. I love the interactivity when we do webinars, where we can have poll questions, we can have chats, we can have live verbal questions if we like. We can do it in all sorts of different ways and mix it up. And doing that makes it very much more engaging. Because
absolutely.
What I don't want is people in the profession to become professionally isolated. When we're so hard focusing in the practice with PPE and all the challenges there, that we don't have the time to interact with other people as well. So we've got to make that as easy and as valuable for people as we can.
Absolutely. And I'm very mindful that people talk about mental health issues, generically mental health issues within dentistry. And with all the PPE, we are becoming more and more isolated. And with lockdown, we have become isolated. And particularly for the younger people, I think it is going to be difficult. It's different. And so actually, to protect people's mental health, to help them not just survive in the profession, but to really thrive and grow, become great dentists, it is about building relationships. And that is about being visible.
That's absolutely right. And that's one of the key ways that people can do it. I was talking to a young dentist the other day and saying one of the main advices I can give you at the moment is network. Get a support network of positive people around you and keep building it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yes, there are Facebook groups. And I think we need to be very mindful of making sure that we choose groups that lift us, that inspire us. And I suppose what I recognize as dentists and the way that we're often taught to be very much in our head and very logical. And we almost disregard that gut feeling, that gut instinct, or what our heart is telling us. And actually, if you go on a website or you go a Facebook group and the first thing you do is just go, oh, just leave it. In the same way that if you've got a heart sync patient, when you look at your day list and you go, well, that's a very clear message that either that patient has to go, or we need to discover some rapport building skills so that we can engage and learn to like that patient. But listen to what your body is telling you. What does your heart say? What does your gut say? Pay attention and just go, life's too short to be miserable. Come on, we're happy. And we can only be happy if we spend time with people that inspire us, engage us, and bring the best out in us. And somebody can't bring the best out in us if we just hide behind a webinar where we just got initials. Who are we? Am I just JL? No. I put myself out there.
I think that's really good advice, and that's what I like about these videos. We can share our advice and experience, which may well be different from other people's advice and experience, but there'll be some things that you'll want to try. There'll be some things that you'll want to chat about when you get back to the practice. So we've been the Two Wise Birds. This is another of our videos. I'm Sue Boynton, and this is
Jane Laline.
Wishing you a nice week, and we'll talk to you again next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Be happy.